Update 2. I wasn't planning to post again, but got a lot of supportive messages asking for an update, so here we go. My soon-to-be ex-wife has completely lost her mind. After my last post, I spent a couple of days writing the letter to her. In it, I explained that the kids and I love her dearly, and that we're concerned for her. I outlined all the worrying behavior and told her that I believe she needs to seek additional medical care. I explained that it sounded like she had complex grief, and that the grief therapy she went to years ago was insufficient to help her get through it. I did not say anything about potentially divorcing her, but did say that the kids can't continue to live in their current situation. It was a long letter, and I don't really feel like transcribing it here. I read the letter to her the same night I finished writing it after the kids had gone to bed. After I finished reading it, she just stared right through me with a 1,000-yard stare for probably around 15 minutes, then finally stood up and started walking to the door. I panicked and tried to stop her, asked her where she was going. "Can we talk about this? I'm concerned for your safety." She rolled her eyes at me, and said in the coldest voice I've ever heard her use, "I hope when your parents aren't alive, someone doesn't tell you to get over it." After that, I didn't try to stop her, I just let her go. I was upset for maybe 5 minutes before the panic set back in. I legitimately thought she was going to end herself. I checked my phone, and she had turned her location off. I called and texted probably 50 times over the next hour, begging her to at least let me know she was okay and that she wasn't going to do something drastic. Right before I was about to call the police, I got a call from her phone. I answered immediately, and before I could get much of anything in, a man's voice told me, "She's fine but she doesn't want to talk to you," and hung up. I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience at the time. I had no idea what was going on. I almost called the cops anyway, but I was dissociating hard and talked myself out of it. I kept calling her phone all night, but no one picked up again. After about 2 a.m., it started going straight to voicemail. I barely slept that night. When I woke up the next day, she wasn't home. I took the kids to school, I normally do this, and my wife is normally still asleep while I do, so thank God they didn't ask where mom was. I tried calling my wife's phone all morning, but still voicemail. I called her office and asked if she was at work, and they told me she had called in sick. I called in sick to work as well and basically just sat on my couch, trying to get a hold of her, while being a nervous wreck. I called my mom and asked if she could pick the kids up from school today and watch them overnight. I didn't tell her everything that was going on yet, just that something had come up that was urgent and I needed some help. My wife walked in the door sometime after 4 p.m. I tried to hug her, but she rejected me. I asked her where she had been, no response, just a blank stare. I asked her who had called me from her phone, no response, blank stare. At this point, I was frustrated and told her that if she didn't want to explain what was going on, she could get the F out. I regret saying it that way now, but holy crap was I frustrated. So she started talking, but it was like I was talking to a text-to-speech AI with her voice. No emotion, totally flat, almost annoyed. She told me that she had gone to her friend John's house. I had no idea who the F John was and asked her to explain further. Over a 2-hour or so conversation where I had to pry details out of her, I got most of the story. She was answering like a lawyer, very basic answers, no details or context outside of exactly what I was asking her. Basically, John is a coworker. I've met the dude once or twice at office party type events, but never really talked to him. I never saw him hanging out with my wife or showing interest in her, but apparently over the last year or so, she has been spilling all her feelings about her grief over her mom's passing to him, and he's been comforting her. He had a parent pass from cancer too, so I guess she felt they had a connection she didn't have with me. After I read her the letter, she said she realized that I don't care about her or her mom, and went to John's house to be comforted. I flat out asked her if she was having an affair with him, and she told me no. I asked her why she never mentioned she was close friends with this unknown guy, and she told me it was none of my business. I asked her if anything had happened between them while she was there, and she said they cuddled, and he held her while she cried. I asked to see her phone to check messages between them, and she refused. I couldn't get much more detail out of her about the whole situation. So when she went to take a shower, I tried to check her phone, but she had changed her passcode. I grabbed her iPad, which still had my thumbprint signature in it, and checked there. I left the house with the iPad to look for evidence while she was in the shower, and I did not immediately see any messages from anyone named John, but after digging briefly, I found it. She had put him in as Stacy in her contacts, but it was obviously him, and there were texts going back well over a year. A lot of her talking about her mom, a lot of him comforting her, a lot of him telling her I don't really care about her, and that he would never treat her that way if they were married. All of her replies were in agreement, and a lot of texts from her were complaining about me. The night she left, she texted him, "I'm on my way over if the offer is still there," followed by an immediate yes reply. Then the next morning, a text from her to him saying, "If he asks, we only talked." I threw up out my car door in a Walmart parking lot for 20 minutes. I came home and found her on the couch on her phone, seemingly unconcerned or unaware I had even left. I told her that I knew, and that she needed to leave. Again, she just stared at me for a while, not responding, until I got aggravated and told her to get the F out of the house. She immediately got up and said, "John was right about you," and left. I haven't seen her since. I told the kids she went to visit her parents. I don't know what to tell them, but I have to tell them something soon. I don't really even know what to do. Ostensibly, I need to divorce her, but going through custody, child support, etc., is dizzying. I feel paralyzed and haven't made a move yet. I know she's lost her mind, and this is probably some kind of psychotic break, but I just can't care anymore. I put on a brave, numb face to go to work, then for my kids at night, and then cry after they go to bed until I fall asleep. I feel like my life is essentially over. I do feel like John took advantage of her vulnerability, but I don't even want to bother trying to get her to see that he's a creep. She chose this over her family that is stuck with her. I don't think I'll be posting any more updates or logging into this account anymore.